to talk to you about everything you ever want to know about living in a hippie commune but were too afraid to ask. Because luckily, as of a few months ago, I was living in a hippie commune. I moved from New York to San Francisco about 2 years ago. I'd never been to San Francisco, but I always really imagined I would like it based on like the movie and TV shows I've seen, mostly Full House. I also kind of thought that I was a hippie because I really liked the Grateful Dead and I hate shaving my legs. I didn't tonight. And I'm really a big fan of overalls. I think they're important. So I had this kind of idealistic view that I was going to move to San Francisco, live in a hippie commune, and like everything was going to be far out, and thought people said far out. That's actually a picture of the actual commune that I lived in, and you can see from the outside it looks normal. But what happens inside is going to blow your mind. So it's good you guys are all sitting down. And I just want to like, in case you guys really were thinking about living in hippie commune, you shouldn't listen to this because it turns out, from my experience, that hippies kind of suck. It's not that awesome. To be fair to the hippies, though, I did kind of like misrepresent myself when I went to the interviews. I dressed like that. And there were more interviews to get into the hippie commune than I had to go through to get into Google. It was that serious. But the people there were actually really nice at the beginning. There were 8 of us, including myself, and we had all these rules, but everything really was all about the food. So every day, someone had to cook a different meal, and the rules were that it had to be vegan, of course, organic, and you could only use the ingredients that were in the kitchen. So it was like a lot of tofu and quinoa. And I don't cook, so I had this amazing idea that I would just go to Trader Joe's and buy those like prepackaged Indian food cartons, and which are delicious. So whenever it's my turn to cook, I would just like open them up and throw them in the pot, and like if someone came around, I'd just like put some salt and be all bam. And then I would throw them away so nobody could see, except one time I threw them in the compost instead of the recycling, and they found out when they were composting and like flipped their shit. They thought I was poisoning them with preservatives, which I kind of was. But the cool thing, well, it wasn't even that cool, but every week we would have these like community house meetings where we would all sit around, and it was the time that everyone could just talk about whatever was on their mind and just like get everything out there. We would talk about our auras a lot too, and these meetings would last from like 4 to 8 hours. I'm not lying, because people had a lot of feelings in the house. The house was called the Phoenix House, and this was the #1 agenda item every single week was, what can we change it to? Because people thought the Phoenix meant like rising and falling, and they wanted something more stable to feel more zen. I checked, when I left, there was still that. Also, our vacuum would break all the time. And instead of buying a new vacuum, we would take turns every Tuesday. It was garbage day, and we would like go out before the garbage man came and see if anybody was throwing out their vacuums, and if they were throwing it out, we'd like take it back to the apartment. We also had to enlist this rule that you could only have 1 homeless person over a week, and unless he was your boyfriend, which happened, and then he could have a friend. But the thing that really was like, oh, and then there was the whole toilet paper incident. And we had to use organic toilet paper, but one dude was getting a rash from it. So we had to have a debate if it was more important for him to get rid of his rash or to save the environment. And we went with the environment. The thing that I kept bringing up was that our house was infested with mice. And at the beginning, it was fine. I didn't really care. But then it became a problem when they started like eating all of my clothes and pooping all over everything. I was the only one who seemed to care about this, though. When I suggested maybe killing it, they got really offended because they didn't believe in killing animals. So I suggested possibly getting a cat, but they didn't believe in domesticating animals. So eventually I was like, guys, it's either me or the mice. And they picked the mice, which is sad for me. So I ended up moving out. And a few months ago, I moved back to New York City, and I was kind of really excited just to wear stilettos and like buy overpriced drinks. But what actually happened surprised me. I came to New York and was like the hippiest person here. I became a vegan, and I go to an Ayurvedic healer because I don't potentially believe in Western medicine. I take yoga all the time, training to be a yoga teacher. I got my nose pierced, as you can see in the picture, or just on me. So the moral of the story is, if you're going to live in a hippie commune, you have to just know that once you leave, you never really leave.